how did you kind of get involved with dinner inshallah, which there's a question mark at the end of it. So like, is it dinner inshallah or is it like dinner inshallah? Like, how do I
Yeah.
how do I say
Thanks
it
for
properly?
asking. First of all, before I begin into that, titles are very hard. Making a title.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
I couldn't even imagine. How do you pick?
But the title actually does have a question mark because it's a question. It's like you're asking someone like dinner inshallah, like you're asking someone that. Which that was like the last thing we made for the show was the title, because throughout the entire process we had another name, and then we changed it and had a few other names, and then at the end I was like, no, this is it. It came to me and I was like, I want to do this. But backing up, it's very interesting how life works, because I really didn't know that I liked, for example, documentary filmmaking, if you could call it that style, right? But if I presented, I guess, the facts of my life to someone else, it would be very clear, right? Because I love the human experience, I love advocacy, and I love a visual medium. So it makes sense that documentary filmmaking would just be the perfect fit. But I had to kind of go through. Right, I had to go through all these different kind of places in my life to really kind of land on that final discovery, which is interesting because when I always reflect on that, I think I would never have kind of jumped straight to this, because it was something that I wasn't even considering. And essentially after I finished my time at BuzzFeed, I felt like, I learned what I could learn from there. I felt like I wanted to do something a little more personal, a little more off the beaten path. And so I really delved into my YouTube channel. And so there I really started to explore different types of storytelling elements. If, whether it's like, talking to a friend or doing different types of taking people along my day or focusing on different topics. And I had a friend who worked at USHub, which is the organization that ultimately produced Dinner Inshallah. And he came to me and he essentially was like, hey, this organization, this production company, they're thinking about doing this show. And they want to talk to you about it. So I thought it was going to be kind of more of a consulting call. Like they wanted to do this type of video or the show, and they just kind of wanted, creative production framework on how to kind of go forward. And when I talked to them, they were like, we want you to host it and be part of the production. So I was kind of taken aback. I was like, oh, I never hosted anything. I guess I could. And it was interesting because I was going to say no. I really was going to say no because I had never done anything like that before. But when I thought of it, and I kind of reflected on the fact that I had so many different experiences that equipped me perfectly for this next step, right? And whenever I kind of reflect, I always think about how everything we kind of go through in their own small ways really does prepare us for the next step we're going. And we're not even aware of it, right? We think, oh, I'm taking this random detour, or this thing I wanted to do didn't work out. But really that thing was preparing you, right, for something else, which was exactly how I felt when I was finally presented that opportunity, because I thought this, I wouldn't have felt prepared for this just a year or two ago, but it came kind of at this perfect time. So essentially, we had an amazing team that we worked with, and the first kind of idea when it was presented to me was a food show, like a pure food show where we'd go to different restaurants. But, when I thought about it, I was like, food, and especially, immigrant food, Muslim food, doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? There's definitely community element, right?
Yeah.
And just like an ecosystem that really does contribute. Unfortunately, like a lot of our communities don't have the luxury of just saying, yeah, we'll make cheeseburgers and just kind of going on. There is a story there, right? There's something there that is powerful and also a community building element. So I wanted to really explore that. So it kind of takes the path of my life, because we start in the Bay Area where I went to school all the way down to San Diego where I'm from, all through California. And, it was really powerful for me to reflect that all those places and all the people I met kind of that we talked about and all the places I ate were places that I would not have been able to go unless I had went through those things, especially, you know, when I look back and think about law school, sometimes, you know, I'm like, oh, you know, that was a lot of money and also a lot of time, but it's those moments that I remember that it was all really worth it because I'm able to tell this story so much better now.
Wow. Yeah. And I honestly I love that it's a food show that's about so much more than food, as you said. And I was writing down all of the places you went to. I was like, when I go, I need to go here, I need to go here. Yes. I want to go to that bookstore. I want to go everywhere, all those coffee shops. But I think it's amazing because I think it's so perfectly, it's wild. I think that you were going to say no because I couldn't imagine anyone who was better suited, even just when you were bringing your friends into it and stuff like that, people that you actually had established relationships with. I think that was such a beautiful thing, and I think just added so much to the community feeling of the whole project. But when you were kind of deciding then on where you were going to go, did they approach you with a place, or did you design that whole thing of I want to stay in California and these are the areas I want to hit, and it kind of has to do with me and my own history, or was that already what they were kind of planning?
You know, it was kind of an evolution. I think at first we were going to go to a few different states, kind of on the West Coast or on the Western United States, but we essentially really wanted to hone in on these cities, right? Because it was places people, you know, have heard of. And then it kind of evolved as I was working with the team to create where we're going. It became very personal, right? Because I think especially a show like that, I really wanted people to have a very deep connection to the places and feel like they were all places that I could kind of speak from experience, right? And even if it wasn't direct experience, it was something that I had kind of felt before or kind of seen before. And so I wanted to keep it that way. And I think that when we were going through those places, a lot of the places really, for example, you mentioned the bookstore in the first episode, but we were going to go to another restaurant, and that day it fell through. It completely fell through.
Oh.
And so we were like, what do we do? We're in this area, you know, and we had another restaurant that we were going to go to in the same area, so we couldn't leave. And so we're driving around, and I was like, hey, that bookstore is a Muslim bookstore. Let's just go in and see. Maybe we can just get some B-roll, right? So we walked in, and we talked to the owner, and he was like, yeah, we're one of the oldest Muslim bookstores in all of California. And we're like, what?
Yeah,
like, and
unreal.
I'm the founder, you know, and I'm the one who did it. And he had this whole story. We just talked to him, right? And things like that, when you really kind of put your trust, you know, in Allah and really just do things for intention and really just let yourself create, especially if you're creative. If someone like me, I need this reminder because I try to kind of put things into boxes. But when you really let yourself create and let go, amazing miracles really come true, and stories unfold exactly the way they're supposed to. So that was kind of how it happened. With all my friends, everything kind of really lined up. We wanted to keep it personal, but it really ended up being really kind of my whole story through California. So.
If you like that clip, make sure you like and subscribe to see more conversations and content featuring Muslim creators from around the world. The Halal Gap is a Mosquers production. Make sure you search Mosquers Film Fest on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to learn more.
And Twitter.
And Twitter.
There's 4 of them.
If you do that type of thing.